Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and current events from around the world. I'm your host, Barbara, and I'm glad you're joining me today. We're starting off with a developing story that's been making headlines in Europe. Reports have emerged of unidentified drones disrupting air traffic in Denmark and Norway, forcing dozens of flights to be diverted or cancelled. The incidents have raised concerns about the safety and security of airspace in the region. According to officials, the drones were spotted near Copenhagen Airport in Denmark and Oslo Airport in Norway, causing significant disruptions to flight operations. While the identities of those responsible for the drone flights are still unknown, speculation has been rampant, with some pointing fingers at Russia. The Kremlin has denied any involvement, with spokesperson Dmitry Peskov calling the accusations baseless and unfounded. However, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has directly blamed Russia, although he provided no evidence to support his claim. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte has cautioned that it's too early to say whether Russia was responsible for the incident, emphasizing the need for a thorough investigation. Danish intelligence officials have said that the country faces a high threat of sabotage, and the drone flights may have been intended to stress us out and see how we react. As the situation continues to unfold, we'll be keeping a close eye on developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. It's essential to approach this story with a critical and nuanced perspective, considering multiple sources and avoiding speculation. We'll also be exploring other top news stories from around the world, including the latest on the conflict in Ukraine, NATO's response to recent security threats, and more. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're glad you're still with us as we dive into our middle segment, where we explore some of the most pressing stories making headlines today. In our previous segment, we touched on the world of technology and innovation. Now, let's shift gears and examine a couple of significant developments in the realms of politics and social issues. Firstly, in the United States, there have been considerable discussions surrounding political violence and free speech following the death of Charlie Kirk. The incident has ignited a firestorm among supporters of former President Donald Trump, with many calling for stricter measures against what they perceive as radical left ideology. On the other hand, critics argue that such rhetoric could lead to further polarization and undermine democratic principles. It's also worth noting that the White House has announced plans to target certain groups deemed as promoting hate or violence. While some see this as a necessary step towards maintaining public safety, others express concerns about potential infringements on freedom of speech and the dangers of partisan politics influencing law enforcement and regulatory actions. In related news, Jaguar Land Rover has announced a major recall due to a software issue affecting several models. We will provide more information on this story in our next segment. On another front, the ongoing saga involving Jimmy Kimmel and his late-night show has taken an interesting turn. After facing criticism for his remarks about Charlie Kirk, Kimmel was briefly pulled off the air, only to be reinstated shortly after. This incident highlights the complexities of navigating free speech, public opinion, and corporate responsibility in today's media landscape. As we navigate these complex issues, it's essential to consider multiple perspectives and foster a nuanced understanding of the challenges at hand. By doing so, we can work towards creating a more informed and empathetic dialogue that acknowledges the diversity of opinions and experiences within our society. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we wrap up today's show, I'd like to bring your attention to a pressing issue that has been making headlines recently. The United States' deportation policies have come under scrutiny, with reports of West Africans being deported to third countries despite fears for their safety. According to recent news articles, 11 West African nationals were deported by the U.S. to Ghana, where they were held in dire conditions in a military camp. Despite filing a legal case seeking release, most of these men have already been deported to their home countries, with some claiming they could face torture, persecution, or inhumane treatment. One notable case is that of Orville Itoria, a Jamaican man who was repatriated to his home country from Eswatini, formerly Swaziland. Itoria had been deported to Eswatini without notice in July, alongside former prisoners from Cuba, Laos, Vietnam, and Yemen. Thankfully, he has safely returned to Jamaica, where he was welcomed by his family. It's essential to acknowledge the complexities surrounding deportation policies and the potential risks faced by those being deported. As a nation, it's crucial that we prioritize the safety and human rights of all individuals, regardless of their nationality or immigration status. Lawyers for the affected individuals have expressed concerns about the lack of access to their clients and the potential violations of their rights. The International Organization for Migration has been working to support the repatriation of these migrants, but more needs to be done to ensure that their safety and well-being are protected. As we conclude today's segment, I want to emphasize the importance of fairness, balance, and compassion in our approach to immigration policies. It's crucial that we consider the human impact of these policies and work towards finding solutions that prioritize the dignity and safety of all individuals involved. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay engaged. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay engaged.